attended and kind of talk about not only your STLSportspage.com, but this event that we've had for so many years here and how much fun we're going to have.
Yeah, this is really the first time that we've been able to have this full event since 2019. So we're very happy to be back here, having that with us this time.
You take this one.
Very happy to have everybody back here. As I say, since 2019 was the last year that we were able to have actually this full room and everybody in here. So silent auction, I know you told us out there. Two things about the website real quick, and then we're going to get to questions for our guys. We'll ask a few questions of them to start with, then we'll open it up to some questions out here, and then they'll be available for autographs and photos after that. If you're not on our newsletter list, that's the one important thing, is to want to get everybody on the newsletter list. So see Sally or some of the volunteers, and they'll have information for you about how to sign up for that. The other thing that's new this year is we've got an app for the website, so you can go on your Google Play Store or the Apple Store and find the app, so go do that as well, and then you'll be able to get all of the news as well. So again, appreciate everybody coming. We appreciate all the hotel staff, Troy, Elise, Marcus, everybody Tom who's helped us out today, so appreciate them. The food and everything will be out here in just a little bit. So Mike, why don't we take it away with some questions?
All right, here we are, going into the new season. Starting off with the easy softball for the baseballers. How do you think everything's going in spring training so far? Is it everything you kind of worked it with the off season, and just how you feeling right now? Pretty easy to go. I'll give you the mic.
How's everybody doing? So it's nice to be here. Obviously, Florida's beautiful. We've had great weather, and I love the way that our club is just going about things. The attention to detail, the way that guys show up and get their work in. It's exciting. It's fun. Obviously, we have the best fans in baseball here to watch us play some spring training games, but we're very excited.
Yeah, I mean, Donnie hit it on the head. I think we've got a great club this year. We got a lot of WBC guys getting ready to come back. Everybody's looking good. Really excited to get this season going. I think it's going to be a really special year for Cardinals baseball.
For the fans out there, you know, it's spring training. You know, you've been here before, but it's almost like a field of dreams out there. You see Ozzie, you see Willie, you see all, long-time Cardinal greats. What kind of knowledge have you soaked in from those, veterans, these Hall of Famers that, not only show up for spring training but throughout the year, but it's kind of special here. It's a little more intimate setting. What could be said about that experience with some Cardinal greats and just really what you're learning from them as well?
Yeah, I think it's really special that the Cardinals bring back so many of our greats. I know it's a little different for Donnie, but I've been mostly around guys like Jason Isringhausen, be able to talk pitching, talk bullpen life. And then in BP, I love to just pick Willie McGee's brain, learn how the hitters think a little bit better.
So you walk down the hallways of our clubhouse and you see photos just kind of wrapped around the building. You're like, oh, there's Willie, there's Ozzie, and then you go out on the field and you see them. So it's pretty cool. You get to pick. They're more than willing to answer any question, just knowledge, like building routine, approaches, whatever it may be. They're more than willing to answer questions. And plus, I get to give Willie a hug every day. That's a big smile. So it's fun.
Brendan, I want to know, like last year you talked about that a lot, about the guys that you were able to talk with during the season and the time that you spent with Albert Pujols, Goldsmith, some of those guys. What kind of advice and how much of an impact do you think they had on you having the season that you had a year ago?
Yeah, so when you get called up, especially as a young guy, it's better to be not seen and not heard, right? You want to get your work in. And for me, it was I just get to sit in the cage and I just watch the routines, right? Goldie, Arenado, Albert, Yachty, all these people watching the routines. It's just like, whether they're in the weight room, whether they're in the training room, whether they're out on the field in the cages, it's the attention to details there, right? The routine's the same every day. If there's something that they feel that they need to add in, they'll add it in. And it's just, that's how that their body stays so healthy and so prepared to play throughout the course of the season. You're talking about production from day one to the last day. And it's how they do it. And I don't have any specific stories, but if there's ever something that you come up, an arm that they've seen before, hey man, what do you think about this? And they're more than willing to give you advice. And I think you take all those little nuggets and you start to put them into, I call it like your little book, right? write things down and you go back and you look at it and you're like, all right, well, this is what they think, this is what I think, and you can filter in what you like and filter it, all right, maybe that doesn't work for me, because this game is all about adjustments, right? You want to continue to grow and develop, and you're around some of the best to ever do it, and I think that's just a luxury that we have here at the Cardinals.
And Zack, I want to know specifically about you, about what you've done differently this spring. I know one of the things that you've done is talk to a lot of the other pitchers on this staff and it's given you some advice and stuff, and specifically about how you use your curveball this spring. Do you think it's made such a big difference in your performance?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice. Spring training games, you can just sit around guys like Adam Wainwright, Jordan Montgomery, Steven Matz, and hit them with questions, like, in your first year in the big leagues, what's something you wish you knew? And that's one that really hit home for me with the curveball. Steven Matz said, I wish I would have learned earlier in my career to just accept who I am as a pitcher and stop trying to pitch above that and use my tools to my advantage. So I just started trying to land the curveball a lot more. Did that today, and so far so good.
And no offense to Brendan here when I ask this question, but sometimes pitchers give hitters too much credit, right?
Definitely.
It's actually funny. We were sitting in the cave, or we were sitting in the dugout today. It was. I'm always the eavesdropper, right? I want to know what guys are talking about, and it's cool to listen to these conversations. You're talking about a guy that can run it up mid to upper 90s and then spin a curveball off it. You can't cover all that as a hitter, right? And he's got the cutter and the changeup to go along with it. So it's like you're talking about trying to cover 20 miles an hour less on the curveball. It's like you just got to pick your battles, and if he can land it like that, that's what makes him so successful.
And I would tell one story about Brendan before we'd say that you got your first start at shortstop today in the spring, so that's going to be something that's going to be important throughout the course of the season. But before the Cardinals were going on a road trip last week, Brendan had a bag in front of him, and he was loading all his different gloves into his bag. He had 4 different gloves that he had loaded into the bag. And I jokingly said to him, well, where's the catcher's mitt? And his answer was,
I have one in the car, but it doesn't make an appearance. I think we're good in that area. And, I always say if I have to pitch or catch, we're in big trouble. So we're good on all those fronts.
The fans always like to connect with the Cardinals players, like you said, best fans in the game. Totally agree with that. Personally, you have a military connection, and you're actually born in Germany. Your father was stationed over there. Can you kind of talk about that and how you made your way eventually to the States at a young age as well through your father's service?
Yeah, so my dad, he recently just retired, but he served for 30 years. Retired as a full bird colonel. Thank you. And for those of you that have served, thank you for your service. That means a lot to me. So thank you a lot on your families, and truly is like, you're putting your life on the line, so thank you. My brother and I were both born there. My dad was stationed there at the time. I was too young to remember it. Came over back to the States. I've lived in Virginia, Tennessee, 3 different parts of Alabama, and now we live in Florida. So we've kind of been all over. Whenever my sister started to get into middle school, high school, we stopped moving around as much. My dad would go off and do his deployments all over the country, all over the world. So I think I learned a lot of things. I think get a little bit of my OCD from my father. Not by my choice, but making your bed every morning is not fun. But I learned a lot of things from that, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Father's an awesome man, and truly blessed, and just thankful for his service.
One thing that's different this spring that everybody obviously is talking about, everybody has noticed is the rules changes, specifically the pitch clock. We were just talking about that outside a little bit. Get your comments, I guess, first from Zack and then from Brendan about what you think about that and how it's going to impact the game.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. I think across the game, everybody agrees the shorter game time's nice. There's certainly an adjustment as a reliever. You don't have as much time between pitches. If they call down in the middle of an inning, you really got to get it going quick. But overall, I think it's going to be a great rule change. I think guys are starting to adjust pretty quick to it, and look forward to not playing as many 4-hour games this year.
I think something that gets overlooked is an overall health standpoint. Not being on your feet for as long is important, right? I think just cutting down just those times, the lull periods, right? It's a little bit more action, but I like it personally as a defender, right? sometimes you get like quick turnarounds, you go night game to day game, or you got double headers. I think cutting down those games is important just for longevity of how you're feeling and possibly careers.
And I guess the one thing that we really don't see a lot in spring training, so it hasn't had a big effect on the game so far, is banning of the shifts, both from an offensive and a defensive standpoint. What's your thoughts about that?
So on defense, I think there's more instincts that have to go into it. You got to read swings. You have the pitch comm now. If I'm playing up the middle, I use it, so I kind of know what's coming. I think just being in the right place. And then as a hitter, you've seen a couple times you've snuck a ball through the middle. You're like, wow, that wasn't a hit last year. So I think, because as a hitter, you're trained to have good direction and work balls back through the middle, and it's frustrating when you get a good swing off and there's a guy standing there. So I do like that aspect of it. He probably hates it, but they're pitchers, right?
You get a chance to defend yourself.
Man, I was just about to compliment you too. I know it's going to be noticed at some point this year, but honestly, I mean, we've got gold glovers like Donnie all over the field, and it hasn't been a huge difference in spring training that I've noticed, because these guys are diving all over the field. If you're at the game today, you saw Kramer almost make that play up the middle today. We've got full confidence in those guys, so I'm really not too worried about the shift ban.
I do want to say a thing about Brendan too, about the night that he won the Gold Glove, even though, we're talking about it. We talked on the phone that night, and I had to take him away from the very important thing that he was doing, which wasn't watching the results show that find out that he won the Gold Glove. He was building furniture.
Yes, we were actually moved here, so we were just gonna build some furniture and then load it up in the truck, because I just didn't want to do it when I got down here, right? I just wanted to pick it up and just bring it inside. So I was at my father-in-law's house with my wife, and we were just hanging out, and he was like, hey, you gonna come watch? I was like, hold on, I just put this drawer on backwards. Because if I don't do it now, I'm not gonna want to do it later. And he's like, come on, you should come watch this. So went up there, saw my name call, gave everyone a hug, and then went back down and put the drawer on.
Love it. That's great. Got to fix it before you do anything else. I'll get to some questions out here. Just a fan question, though, gentlemen. You come in hungry every season. The way last season ended, I know you're hungry for more. Is that how much of the end of last season carries over into spring training? Do you look at it as, hey, it's a fresh start, it's a new season? Is that talked about much? Hey, we're getting farther this year because obviously want to bring the World Championship back to St. Louis where it rightfully belongs. Only capable of doing that. So what are the feelings there with this fresh start of new season compared to last?
Yeah, so obviously it's frustrating how it ends. You work all year for ultimately what ended up being 2 days, right? That stings, and it takes a while to get over. Gives you some motivation going into the off season, but I think every season is unique in its own way, right? Got some new faces. Obviously, we got a strong core back, but I'm very excited for this year. I think that I think our lineup is dangerous. I think we're really deep on the mound, and it's just up to us to just go play.
Yeah, definitely. The way the season ended last year left a pretty bitter taste in our mouth. I won't forget that day. Didn't get in that series. I remember hugging Yachty and Albert for the last time, and I think this year we need to end it with a celebration instead of tears.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's open it up now with some questions from the audience. Mike's going to go around, and we'll kind of figure out who's got some questions for these two guys that they want to answer.
I'm not sure how far this stretches, so maybe I could just.
Maybe they could come up here.
Yeah, they can come up here.
All right, who's got some questions?
Ask away. Who wants to go first? Ask anything. Or I'll keep asking questions. I got questions.
I'll ask a question.
Here we go, sir.
So, Brennan, in the first inning today, runners are first and second, ground ball right to you. You had the guy running the third in front of you. Why not throw it to third base versus going to second?
Yeah, so the speed of the ball dictates everything, right? Off the bat, it was a hard angle to go cut it off. And just because that guy flashes in front of your face, for me, I just want to secure an out. I thought, I'll go back and look at it at film, it's like my momentum's going this way, I would have to really plant and then kind of do a shovel pass back behind me. So I thought that my momentum allowed me to kind of turn my shoulders and take it out at second. I think in a situation like that, I mean, maybe with a Bray you're running, there's so many things that could happen, right? Maybe I could sit back a little bit, but then there's a chance that it could eat you up. Like there's so many different scenarios running through your mind. Maybe hit it on a backhand and then just try to shovel past it, maybe sit back. My read, kind of what they teach is like, go with your first instinct. And my first instinct was go. And so I charged it pretty hard. And when I looked, I was kind of around the grass area. I think the momentum just would have prevented me to maybe get that lead runner. But then we got the double play ball, the next hitter. So I think it's important just for me. I just want to get outs.
Shout out to the best pants in the crowd, by the way. Where are you from?
Dexter, Missouri.
Dexter, Missouri. Sound like South Central?
No, it's way down in the southeast corner.
Southeast corner.
3 hours south of St.
I
Louis.
knew it was south. Well,
Yeah.
okay, right. So ask away, sir.
Okay, I have a question. I think a lot of the Cardinal fans, including me, are concerned. You mentioned the depth. The pitching staff is probably the question mark. You've got, there you go, Randy. Good job. You got Adam, who's obviously a Hall of Famer in his last year, but then you got 2 or 3 or 4 other guys that have probably been injured more than they pitched the last 3 or 4 years. So if everything goes right, I can see having confidence. And we got some young pitchers, good young pitchers like yourself coming on, but I guess the confidence level is probably not as high as I'd like to see it for the 5 or 6 guys we're going to run out there. Like Jack, he was obviously one of the best pitchers in the game, but he's been hurt a lot. Matt's is hurt a lot. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, that's part of baseball. 162 game season, you're going to run into injuries. But we got guys like Wayno that are proven. Steven has proven several times that he could lead a rotation. He had some bum luck with some injuries last year. We're really counting on Jack to be Jack this year. I think we all see the work he's putting in, and he's going to have a really solid year. Jordan's coming in. He was great for us after we traded for him last year. Back into the bullpen's locked down. Miles is, you're getting 7, 8, sometimes 9 innings out of him pretty much every outing. I think we know, as long as everybody can stay healthy, we know what we're getting, and I think we have a very reliable pitching staff.
Maybe you guys just kind of look at it as a challenge, but some people don't think that you're, as good as you guys think you are.
Absolutely. You never know. We might have a Cy Young winner on this team. I think Helsley could compete to be the top closer in the league this year. And like you said, we've got the depth, so we'll just go prove you wrong.
So my friend Donna back there, celebrating St. Patty's Day a day early with the green shirt on, from Paducah, Kentucky, came down. wants to ask, what kind of routines do you go through pregame? Every player's different. Pitchers and infielders and hitters are different. But what do you personally do to get mentally prepared for the game before you get out there in the stadium on the field?
Personally, as a reliever, I've got to be ready to go every day. So it's very similar. It's more similar to a position player routine than the starting pitchers. For me, every single day I go in, I roll out, I hit all my joints. So I make sure I get my hips feeling good, I get my back feeling good, I get my shoulder feeling good, and I get everything linked together. And then you get out there, sitting in the bullpen, and I guess the best way to describe it's kind of your spidey sense. You feel like your spot might be coming up, you start moving around, you start working through some breathing routines and getting mentally locked in and being ready to go for the game's call.
So I gain confidence from preparation. Just depends on when the clubhouse opens. Whenever the clubhouse opens, I try to be one of the first ones there. Eat something, go to the weight room. Like he said, just start moving around. Like if there's any areas that are limited, hips, like whatever it is, low back maybe tight, whatever it is. Try to loosen that up. Try to make sure everything's synced up. Try to lift twice a week. Get a lift in if I can. Maybe add in some accessory work if I feel I need to, and then go straight to the cage. In the cage, I got pretty similar routine and do a couple off the tee, do a couple rounds of flips, and then sometimes a machine. And then go out for BP, defense. If I'm not in the lineup, try to hit 2 spots. If I am playing in that one position, then I'll hit that position. They do a good job of just spreading the reps out, making sure we're prepared. BP, and then go in, eat something. I like to take a little nap before the game. Take like whether I fall asleep or not, I just lay around for about 20 minutes. Shower, get ready for the game. Go back to the cage, make sure everything's working, and then just go out there. I think mentally, just getting prepared, I think it comes down to that prep work, right? If I can keep that routine as consistent as possible, then I think I'll be confident in that preparation, and then there's just no doubts. You can just go play.
Have you ever had a dream where you didn't wake up in time for the game?
I still have dreams that I haven't submitted my paper in college.
My main man Rick over here coming from Canada. Okay, so long trip for spring training. Much better weather here in Jupiter, Florida. Would like to know, what do you think about, there's some schedule changes this year where you're going to play a lot more American League teams, pretty much everybody. It's a little different. And if you could speak to that schedule change and then what you guys think about it, because it's going to look a little different on the schedule this year.
Yeah, they're going to what they call a balanced schedule, which means Cardinals are going to lose games against the Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates. So there's about 10 or 15 wins that they're going to have to make up somewhere else. But because and I think probably you guys can address it, but now they're going to play everybody either home or road. So you come into St. Louis, you want to see a ball game in St. Louis. Every other year, you're going to see every other team. So it means Mike Trout's going to come to St. Louis, it means Otani's going to come to St. Louis. Games that you hadn't been able to see in the past, they're going to do that. So that's when I'll start this year for everybody to play. You'll lose some games in the division, but you'll gain those games up by playing other teams that you wouldn't normally play.
Yeah, I mean, the downside, it stinks we don't get as many rivalry games, but growing up, always being a massive baseball fan, it just means you get to play in all these parks, you get to experience all these new cities and stadiums. I mean, when I got called up, my second road trip was at Fenway. I mean, every kid dreams of playing at Fenway, so knocked out Wrigley and Fenway in the first 2 weeks. So I'm actually really looking forward to the schedule change.
No, I like it. I think looking big picture too, the more times you can see a guy, like see an opposing pitcher, I think that's just more information you can log. For me, like if I've seen you a lot, I've got a better chance. Sometimes you've never seen a guy, you just don't know what their stuff looks like. You don't know how they attack you, and I think that's where that chess match comes in. But if you can see those guys a couple times and then you do run into them in the postseason, you're like, all right, I have some data to go back and look at how this guy attacked me. Did I have success? Did he have success? And then you just go from there.
Wendy from St. Petersburg, wave your hand back there. All right. Favorite stadium to play in? Least favorite stadium to play in? Go, go, go.
Favorite stadium to play in has got to be Busch. Worst stadium, I'm gonna have to go with probably Cincinnati. It's just, they don't fill it. It's typically more Cardinals fans than Reds fans anyways. It's just, you can't beat Busch.
You pitched in Kentucky, and you're going to rip on Cincinnati like that? Come on.
I mean, I went to Kentucky. I didn't go to Cincinnati.
I think that was a rigged question and you passed the test. So, yeah, Busch Stadium for me. I mean, when you're talking about your least favorite stadium, it's hard because you go throughout the minor leagues and you play in some places that you don't care to admit, and then you get to the big leagues and see some awesome ballparks. So to be honest, I don't have a least favorite. Hopefully that means that we're winning a lot of games there. If we can make our away games feel like home games too, then I think we're going to be all right.
I want to ask both of you guys a question because I know it comes up, and it's something that happens when you're a little kid and you dream about becoming Major League Baseball players. When you got that call, when you got the information that you were coming to the big leagues, let's talk about that moment for a minute. How you found out and what that moment was like for you.
I mean, you work so hard, you have one goal in mind, right? And I think what's cool is when you come up from Memphis is you play with guys all throughout the minor leagues, and they're just as happy for you as your family is. I mean, you kind of build relationship with people, and you build friendships and people that you'll talk to even when your playing days are over. So to celebrate that with your clubhouse and then to celebrate with your family, because your family sacrifice time, money, effort, all that stuff, just for you to be able to play in high school, college, and then professionally. They're traveling all over the country to see you play. I think it's really important. And I got the call a couple weeks into, I was in Memphis last year. I got the call, and you have to like pack your stuff and then hit the road. It happens fast. And I texted my parents. They were at the game in Memphis, and I was like, "Hey, just got called up, pack it." And then I just set my phone down, and they're like, "Did you just leave us in the dark?" And I didn't realize time had passed. It's been like 30 minutes since I checked my phone again because I was packing all my stuff, just throwing it in the bag, making sure I had everything. And then I walk out, I saw that I had like missed calls, text messages, like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to St. Louis tomorrow." So it was cool because they were in Memphis. We kind of got to go up there and celebrate it together.
My call-up was very non-traditional. So we were actually playing in Charlotte with Memphis, and I got told I was going up on the taxi squad in Chicago. Came up on, it was a Thursday or Friday, went through practice. I wasn't on the roster, so I wasn't even allowed to stay for the game. And then we had a day game the next day. I roll in that morning. I remember I just got changed. I turn around, and Ollie's walking towards me, and the only other person in the clubhouse at the time was Albert. And he was just sitting there with a big grin on his face. And I got the chills. I knew what was happening. And much like him, it was a quick turnaround. This was at like 10:30 for a 12 or 12:30 game. So I just shot out a couple texts real quick, like, "Hey guys, I made it. Gotta go. Gotta get to work." So, and then to debut at Wrigley was awesome. It was everything that we were dreaming of as a little kid.
Just want to remind you, I'm going to take that question for you back there. We are eventually going to offer up where people can get an autograph, and there's a donation jar with the silent auction items in there. So if you feel so inclined, if you don't bid on anything, leave a donation. Rainbows for Kids, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society benefited from that. Sally will open the doors for that. But we did have a question back there. A gentleman would like to ask Zack specifically some questions. Zack, I'm going to give the microphone to you, and if you want to shout him out, sir.
Zack, you made a really good sprint. Are you working on any new pitches, and what do you consider your out pitch, and what do you think about our new pitching coach? He's been helpful.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. It's been an awesome spring so far. Like I hit on a little bit earlier, just sitting down with some of the older guys, and rather than trying to change my game, I'm a big curveball with a riding, forcing fastball, so just leaning into that more, landing the curveball at any count has really helped. And then, being able to stay in touch with Dusty all off season, he's been great. We sat down in October, November, and set out a game plan for the year, what I needed to work on, where my focus needs to be coming in, and I think the results are starting to show.
You got time for about one more? What's your burning questions, Cardinals fans, from Canada to Florida to that gentleman right there? What would you like to say, sir?
Who's the most feared, and who's the most easiest pitcher to face? Who's the most feared and the easiest batter to throw to?
Out of all of them, huh?
Well, I mean, one thing about the big leagues is there's no breaks, right? I think, he's in Division II. Corbin Burns isn't real fun to face. He's throwing a cutting fastball anywhere from 94 to 98. Moves like a slider. And then when you think you got him, he throws a changeup off it. So that guy's not real fun to face. But I think, like I said, the more times you can see him, I think you start to gather information, and it becomes that chess match. Easiest pitcher to face.
You gotta get some bulletin board material.
Yeah. This guy is really good, and it stinks because he's sitting right next to me, but
And again, right when I was going to compliment you and say you're a tough at-bat. Let's see. One of the toughest at-bats I remember last year was in Boston against J.D. Martinez. I think it was like a 12 or 14 pitch at-bat. You get him to 2 strikes, and it just seems like the guy won't quit. He flicks stuff off like he doesn't want it, and he's a really tough out. and I had to make a game time decision and switch it, but left on left, Donnie's an easy target.
So we actually got to face each other early spring training. It was just a live at bat, so it was 5 pitches. I think we ended up going to a 2-2 count. I fouled off a pitch, so it was 5 pitches, and then I walked out because it was my 5 pitches. I didn't want to mess it up for anyone in the back. Just waiting, and he's like, "Why'd you get out?" I said, "Zack, man, you had 15 pitches. I'd hate to foul off 4 more and then jog down to first base for the walk." So it's the battles like that. Like when you talk about a guy that throws upwards of 96 and you touched 100 one time, yeah, he touched 100. So and then he spins a breaking ball, throws a cutter off of that, and then throw a changeup under the zone. There's no breaks, man, and I can joke with him because I'm sitting right here and I know I don't have to face him during the season, and hopefully he doesn't get traded, but that wouldn't be real fun either. But it's always a good battle, and you can banter with each other.
I want to remind everybody that we have baseballs autographed by Brendan and by Zack that we're raffling off. We'll draw them here in a little while after we do some of the pictures. So Frencha and Elise from the hotel are walking around selling raffle tickets, so make sure you buy your raffle tickets for a chance to win a baseball autographed by Zack and one autographed by Brendan. One final question.
Got one final question to wrap it with. Everybody's kind of ready to meet you guys. So, there we go, man. And where are you from?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Go ahead.
When you pick up your walk-up song to bat, is there a special meaning behind it, and do you change it often?
And tell us what it is, and then why you picked it.
So I've had the same one for a couple of years now. I use Desperado by Rihanna. When I was playing in the Cape Cod League in 2017, I went to a game at Fenway Park and I actually heard Dustin Pedroia walk out to it. I'd never heard of it before. I was like, man, that sounded really good. They played it loud. I was like, hopefully I would get the opportunity to steal that from them one day.
I haven't picked mine yet for this year, but last year was Ride the Lightning by Warren Zevers. I feel like it's kind of my vibe. It's not too hardcore, it's not too crazy, it's just kind of helps me get in the zone, get in the right mindset.
Speaking of songs, did you guys get a heads up that they were going to do that with Helsley last year when they started the Hells Bells things that turned off all the lights in the stadium? Did you get a heads up that they were going to do that, or did you kind of freak out a little bit and wonder what's going on?
Yeah, they actually they told us about it the day before, and then I think the first time they did it was a day game, right? Or was it a night?